Good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing today? Happy Friday. I am Ashaki Mitchell. Um, I work at Beverly Elementary School with second graders, and I had the pleasure to work in the town of Tarboro with Wendy Cox. She was part of Human Resources, so I had a great time with her. Okay. Let me take that back off. Oh, geez. I'll just do. Okay, there we go. Okay, so as I was saying, I worked with the town of Tarboro this summer, and I had a wonderful time. I learned about the various jobs that are available in the education, the social skills, and all of the requirements that are needed to actually participate in a viable employment. Now, I inserted my notes inside of Chat GPT, and these are some of the words that kept appearing. As you can see, we have communication a lot, town management, leadership, problem solving, ability, resources, recreation, research, public, and things like that. At the beginning, I asked my students if they knew what a town hall was. And then I described what we have in Rocky Mount where I teach. And I said, the men that drive the white trucks. And so they were like, okay. So they knew some family members that worked there. And they knew that the sanitation people come around weekly to pick up the trash. And again, they knew they drove white trucks. And some things they wanted to know was, who is the mayor and how old do I have to be a firefighter? And how hard is it to actually become a firefighter? Well, speaking of the mayor, they said you never get to see the mayor pretty much. And so I actually ran up on him when I was speaking with someone else in one of the offices, and we had a wonderful time. He told me that he actually was a school teacher, and I believe his wife was as well. And so I took a photo op right here. I showed this to my students, and this is where I kind of hung out until I had to go out into the field. So if I were mayor for a day, my students were able to do some research and have some background knowledge about their own communities. And they were given a prompt about if I were a mayor for the day. And so in this particular prompt, the students will learn about the mayor's jobs and descriptions and describe a problem that they see in their communities and create a solution. And some of their concerns were speeding in neighborhoods, safe places to stay, overpopulation of animals, and people without homes or food. And so this is what some of my students had to say right here. They really were concerned about animals, as you can see, and also people that are without homes, especially during this time of the year. And some more things that they were talking about, more food. They were pouring their hearts out in these particular letters because they are problem solvers. Many of the pictures I found or I took, I shared them with my students. And so this right here was the dispatcher's area. And this right here was the lady who assisted, I believe, the town manager. And so some of my students, they use technological skills to email me, or either in our Google Classroom, they responded this way as well, showing the need for technology in these particular fields that they may be interested in. I also had an opportunity to talk to the guy. He makes maps, a cartographer, I think. Maybe I'm saying that right. And so I posed the question, why another Dollar General and not a Starbucks? And so he explained the need, basically like supply demand in a sense, but it was more economical. Do you have citizens that have the money to enjoy Starbucks on a daily basis so that Starbucks will be bustling instead of, an occasional treat? And so that pretty much answered my question why we have a bunch of Dollar Generals. All right. And then I had an opportunity to go to the fire station. And I remembered, I'm kind of old here, but I didn't recall that firemen stayed there at the station. I know that might sound a little backwards, but I really didn't remember that. And so he gave me a grand tour. He also showed me how prompt and ready they are. They step into those suits, pull it up, and they have to go in a minute's time. And then we saw some antique areas. This area right here is where family and friends can come up and participate in birthday parties and things of that nature. And I really found that very interesting. And I believe they were getting a new part of the fire truck, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, So I was like, this information is so prevalent and needed and necessary. But a lot of my students, I actually had a student that passed away in a fire years ago when I started teaching. And so I thought that, it always touches my heart because you say bye to them on a Friday and you don't see them again on a Monday. So I thought it was important that we developed and devised a particular object, but I'll go back to it once I go through this. I asked the fire station man pretty much what is the math in this particular thing, and he was showing me the water pressure, the hole size, the speed in which it comes out is important to determine like what type of building you need. Is it high? Is it 2 stories? Is it made of brick? Is it made of vinyl sided? That kind of depends on, what you're going to use, what pressure you're going to use. You don't want to destroy something trying to, take out a fire. And so that was some of the math that he says he still keeps that in his pocket right there. He took it right out of his pocket. And then a lot of times we think that all they do is fight fires, but these are some other services that they provided, which I found interesting. So my students were tasked to create an escape route. And we read this book right here, about Pete the cat, I believe, and it actually creating ways to escape from your house. And so my students did design some of that. And I do believe I have some, they were excited about this. So got it. So that, of course, is the fire. And this is them in their bed sleeping, and they have the arrows showing where they would run to get out. They learned the stop, drop, and roll system as well. You can see these are some of their escape routes. Again, this is heavily dealing with problem solving skills, and they enjoyed that. How do I go back? Just click this. Okay, perfect. All right, now this is me being going to go up and check out a power line. No, actually, when I went to the electric company, and this is me at the Whirly gig in Wilson, but I felt confident enough to go up inside of one of their trucks so I could go past the power line. But once I visited over here at the electric station, pretty much, I was shown how to read the meters, and I was given an energy efficient kit, and he was testing the meters in this particular part right here. And my students, he was showing me how they calculate the bill. And so my students actually got excited with building a circuit. So right here, you can see my students. I displayed a video about what we were going to do. I showed them this part right here. And they were kind of looking like, I'm not going to be able to do that. But you could see the lights in their eyes when they actually got the circuit to light up. Look at this kid. They got that to light up. So we were excited about that. And this is me driving around in the sanitation truck. They're showing me how water is clean for us to drink, and how it is used in the sewer, and the math in that. And I just want to say something real quick. The bugs, actually, this was in their room. And I said, we check the bugs. And so we check the bugs to see how old they are. So if they're larvae or if they're developing wings, if they're big, that lets us know how long that sewage has been sitting there. And so I found that interesting as well. The last thing, because I went to Parks and Recreation here, and this center right here really catered to a lot of seniors, and I was happy about that. And they also have church there also. My students have dined a park, and this was part of math too, because they had $10,000, and each of the items that they put up here, this is them creating, and the boys were getting carried away. We didn't even have enough space for it, but this is all student made. They made sliding boards. They made a sign. The sign actually lit up from the circuit as well. They had a swing, and that's the full park right there. They're still trying to work on some more parts so we don't have any space. So we're going to have to get some more land. And these are some resources that I used. And then finally, they learned some few things. They completed their KWL chart. And that is what this is my plan for the future. We're going to have a fireman visit, robot circuit man, field trip to town hall, create water filter. And I'd like to say thank you to all people that made this possible. And I will definitely love to do it again.